Joining me via Skype is Public Affairs Analyst Ayodele Adewale. Good morning and thank you for joining us on TVC Breakfast. First, let's get your reaction to the President's broadcast to the nation. Did it capture everything you envisaged?
Well, it captured almost everything. First and foremost, I must commend all Nigerians for yielding to the directive that we should stay at home, almost all Nigerians. Because if you look at what is happening in the US and some part of Europe, considering the amount of people that have died, it's a very painful decision, but again, we have to save lives. I think the president must expand the dragnet to include a lot of Nigerians, particularly who are under the deprived level, and such thing must be very timely. And he also said that a particular report will be given to him within the next 1 week. 1 week is rather too long for people to hold on, because the enormity of pain, of hunger is very high. So the federal government need to hasten this support for people in order for them to achieve their purpose. But by and large, the decision is very welcome in the sense that it's going to save lives. And if we save lives, we save our economy. And of course, we save the security and the sanctity of this country.
So talk to us quickly what you expected that wasn't captured in this broadcast.
One, in order to save our economy, we should also think out of the box. No matter what anybody may say with regard to the actions that the governor of Cross River would have taken in terms of production of masks. The federal government need to encourage SMEs, and they also need to put in place a system where large amount of masks will be produced, because we can't continue to stay home. What if it is required for us to lock down this country for 1 year? You and I can imagine what will happen. We don't want to think of it. It's very unthinkable of what will happen. People will have to confront security agencies. In some cases, riot will break out. In some cases, they can threaten the sovereignty of the nation. So the government must think out of the box, must produce large amount of masks. There must be adequate orientation for the people, mass orientation. People must go out, religious bodies must reach out to the people, traditional institutions must reach out to the people, town crier systems must come out to tell people the danger that confronts them, and they must also teach people on how to wear this mask in a safe manner. These are things that can rejig our economy if we have to move on as a people, because you must not forget that a lot of Nigerians live daily. They live daily. And the more you lock them at home, the more the anger build up. So also our medical professionals must also look at ways of releasing the productive sector of this country, especially the industrial sector. Even if we have to lock in a lot of people, there are some sectors that must be released in order for them to produce and for them to cover up for people who are at home.
Now, indeed, like you have rightly mentioned, the president actually took note of those who depend on daily wage. And from what you have said, you're talking about community communication especially. Does it mean that we do not really understand what communities need, seeing the fact that we are already witnessing community spread and we are not making good use of community communicators? Is that what you're saying?
We're not making effective use. There's a difference between good usage and effective usage. We are not making effective usage of community advocacy. We need to implore a lot of community development associations, religious bodies, and civil society groups also must come in at this stage. Nigeria has a lot of population. And yes, the mass media, electronic, print media, they are trying their best. But how many people do have energy at home? You understand? So we must develop systems where people will go to the streets, the looks and training, engage people, discuss with them, cool their nerves, and tell them the reason why they need to stay home. And beyond that, the government must find a way. I know that data is a big problem in this country. But beyond that, the religious bodies have data. The banking sector have data, the telecom, they have data. These data can also be used to cushion the effect of this pain. They also think, take for example, the civil servant. I think by now, the federal and state government all across the country would have put up a system where they can send relief to the civil service. They also form a bulk of the population sector in this country.
All right, Ayodele Adewale, we'll leave the discussion here for now. Thank you for speaking with us. Well, joining me via Skype is public affairs analyst Ayodele Adewale. Thank you for joining us on TVC Breakfast. A difficult decision, the president calls it, but then, now that the lockdown has been extended, what do you expect to change moving forward, especially with our approach to flattening the curve?
Well, what I expect to change is that medical workers will have to be very vigilant right now. Government must put in place a strategy, just like the Lagos State government have done, to start checking house to house, regardless of how mild such illness might look in front of people now. Any form of illness now must be very suspicious, and such things must be brought to the open. More containment must have to take place. And like I said before, we need to engage people more now, not just one-way information, but they have to be a dual way. People will ask questions. Government must be ready to answer such questions. We'll put a lot of people on the street to engage people. A lot of jingles using personalities that people believe in, to bring up this content, and such content must be thrown out.
And then the last 2 weeks has thrown up some concerns with regards to security situation. We've seen activities of hoodlums across the state. And then we are beginning to see that in a recent report that the DSS Army Police Force will be part of the patrol to tackle these activities of hoodlums. Do you think this would make as much difference, and that Lagosians and the states where we see the activities can go to sleep with their eyes closed?
Well, I would not want to call them hoodlums. I would say they are people who are angry in the sense that their livelihood has been suppressed, quote and unquote. They don't have access to living. You and I may call them hoodlums, perhaps because we are seemingly privileged to have what to eat and all of that. I think the security operative must work more on intelligence reports, and they must also engage them and try to reorientate them, and of course give government these security reports, and government in turn also, we have to do a lot of deployment, pushing forward their stimulus packages. And this stimulus package, a lot that I've seen are raw food. Some of them are funds. Yeah, funds are okay, but if it's possible, this raw food can also be converted to something that is edible. If you understand what I mean truly, because if you give them raw food, there is no energy to convert them to something they can just take readily. It's going to also become a lot of pain for them. Security people also must be obvious of the fact that the rules of engagement must be well defined, not like what we saw when the lockdown started, a situation whereby a lot of people were being shot at, some were brutalized and all that. We are going to have more people reacting irrationally now, especially within the next 7 days. There's a saying that an hungry man is an angry man. So you're going to see even people with blue-collar jobs, so to speak, before, who have lost their jobs. A lot of them also are going to pour to the streets. And the rule of engagement will be well defined. Security operative will be very, very tolerable. And you must also remember that there are families too. Many of them will be under pressure, under serious pressure, and they might have to react in a manner that is not conventional.
All right, Ayodele Adewale, thank you for speaking with us.